DK.
Golfcast.
Presented by Bones Brothers Media. I know we've been talking about it all season, but why does the PGA Tour not have a camera on every single hole of the golf course? Why am I watching golfers I care about through something called Shot Tracker or Shot Tracer? I mean, I'm staring at my phone for 5 and 10 minutes, waiting for a text message, essentially, to tell me what the golfer I'd like to watch did on his last shot. Why am I not seeing it live? The technology exists. Why are they denying me that access? That would make the app so much more compelling and honestly, probably worthy of a fee, right? I'd be willing to pay for that, for crying out loud. And I don't want to listen to the expense argument because that kind of coverage, as I just said, would demand a fee, thus probably paying for itself. But look at the comparable sports, for crying out loud. The NFL has 50 cameras on every single game they have. MLB, they got enough cameras that you can read the lips of every player on the field. Shout out to John Boy, by the way. NBA, the same way. Look at the sidelines. Look at the baseline. Look at press row. They got cameras everywhere. The PGA needs that red zone thing that the NFL has. And as golf gains popularity, and more importantly, as golf gambling gains popularity, there's going to be more interest surrounding golfers that are not at the top of the leaderboard. And then on top of that, the coverage is just pathetic also. 3 or 4 hours on television just doesn't cut it for the diehards or those of us in the gambling community. Watching the main coverage, you'll be lucky to see a golfer outside the top 10 or 15 hit a single shot, if you're lucky. I just can't believe they haven't addressed this yet. Seems like common sense. Seems like a good way to create an additional revenue stream for your business. And it seems, to me at least, that 80% of the golf shots, 80% of the field gets ignored. I hope it gets better next season. Welcome into the program. My name is Edge. It's the Bones Brothers Golf Show. I hope everyone quit their jobs and are chasing their dreams, by the way, after last week's monologue. A lot to talk about this week. Former WVU wide receiver Stedman Bailey in the news. We'll talk about that here in a second. Country club cheating scandal. I'm sure you guys have heard about that. The confetti incident at the Pop Darts World Championship on ESPN Ocho. And of course, put the women and children to bed. Get your big guns out because the studs are coming to Memphis for the first week of the FedEx playoffs. Wildman joins us from St. Pete. How you doing today, brother? I like that cap you got on.
Yeah, thanks. This is Conch Republic out of Key West. So straight off the boat. Just got this, baby. Fresh.
And we're coming back with our Going Golfing coastal brand as well. We're starting to work on designs for that. That's what made me think of that hat right there, Wildman. It looks good. Bones DK turned $10 into $4,000 last week. And also, a little behind the scenes here, right after we signed off the air last week, he's like, hey, I got a $10 scratch here. You guys want to watch me scratch it? We watched him, and he won $480 on that one. So things are going well for the kid. How you doing, Bones DK?
Yeah, doing great, man. Doing great. Thanks for the shout out. Yeah, that $10 bet was a first round leader bet. I picked 3 guys to finish in the top 10, Davis Thompson, Doug Gim, and my boy Eric Cole, who hit that first round leader ticket a couple weeks ago for $600. So Eric Cole, first round leader, guys, jump on it. He does it every single week and then fades throughout the next 3 days. So, and Doug Gim, another one, just been playing real well. And my boy Davis Thompson, I love that bet, right? Like it kind of eliminates, you don't have to have the winner because you have a guy like Bo Hosser go out there and shoot a 9 under. But I only picked 3 guys to finish in the top 10, and it paid off and great odds. So that was incredible. My car actually broke down at $1,700 to fix it. So that's covering the cost right there. So exciting week. And, also you're right about the coverage, man. I mean, when I was sweating Eric Cole first round top 10 last week, he was on number 13 for probably 10 or 15 minutes. I wasn't sure if the app wasn't updating or what's going on. It's pretty frustrating. And like I have ESPN Plus and I play for I pay for that. You get the featured groups, but a lot of the times the featured groups are on the main feed already. So you have the quad box and you have three of the same screen of Scotty Scheffler and Victor Hovland and these guys. So you kind of are just watching the main guys. I think it would be great if you were the red zone golf guy, actually, and the next
Interesting.
Hanson. So we've been talking about like a golf red zone or anything like that. And I think it's a great idea. It is a little frustrating as golf fans with the coverage, seeing the same guys every week when, us gamblers need to see Besenhout, Eric Cole, these other guys, and, Doug Gim. Did you even see Doug Gim shoot a shot last week? Because
I
I
don't.
didn't.
I mean, I could probably, if I looked at the leaderboard right now, and I watched every shot of that golf tournament, by the way, that TV allowed us to have, and then that the app allowed us to have. But I could probably go down that leaderboard and tell you about 60% of the golfers that I never saw hit a single shot all weekend. And again, if you just position a camera or a few cameras at each, and the technology exists, guys, they don't even have to be operated by a human being. There's automated cameras out there. Just put them there and let the guys follow the guys that they want to follow. And it's going to become a bigger issue if the PGA doesn't address it because of the growth of the gambling community. It looked like you wanted to chime in there, Wildman.
Yeah, the worst part about it is that the main feed is the worst coverage possible. So like you're waiting all afternoon for Nance and Immelman to get on at 3 o'clock, and they've got playthrough commercials, and they're only following the guys that are within two of the lead, especially if it's like a McIlroy or something like that. So it is terrible. But I will say this, guys, the new commissioner of the PGA, his name's Brian, I believe it's Brian Rappel, and he is an NFL guy who's coming over from the NFL commissioner's office. So I would think that red zone golf is probably in the works.
Let's hope so. Let's also hope we have a great week here at the FedEx, the St. Jude Classic. We return to Memphis, TPC Southwind. It's a par 70, almost 7,300 yards, all Bermuda grass from the tips to the green. The average scoring here is just one shot under par. So you're probably not going to have the birdie fest that we've been seeing recently. Water everywhere. Greens are going to be fast. Greens, I think last week at Sedgefield were also Bermuda. So if you had guys putting well last week, that streak could continue this week. Wildman, tell us a little bit about the course. We're probably favoring accuracy over power here.
Yeah, you're spot on once again. I mean, it's going to set up tee to green a lot like last week. Narrow fairways, some of the narrowest on the PGA Tour. So definite premium on accuracy. There's going to be water hazards. There's going to be penalties off the tee. The greens, however, they are Bermuda, but they're going to be a lot easier than they were last week, as these greens are for the most part very docile, very straight, very flat. So where you really get into troubles off the tee here. So there's really no premium on driving distance. But look, I mean, a guy like Brennan last week, he didn't need to be a bomber there last week, and he, was almost electrifying off the tee in terms of distance and accuracy. So you could still do it with a driver and a putter, but for the most part, you're going to need guys that are in play off the tee and in the fairway in particular.
Yeah, fairways, greens, you're going to want birdie looks from inside 20 feet. So you're probably looking at guys that are in the top level of driving accuracy. If we look at that first tier, Bones DK, we've got Scotty Scheffler at 13.5. And I'll tell you what, I've not been a big gambling fan of Scotty Scheffler this year because he has been so expensive. And even this year, he's 2,000 clear of Rory. And I wouldn't say it's been a disappointing year for Scotty, but he's got a lot of runner-ups, man, and he is due for a win, and he is clearly the best player in this field. He starts us off at 13.5. Rory is interesting here, too. Rory's power club is the driver. And if you take that out of his hands, he comes back down to earth a little bit. He's at 11.5. Tommy Fleetwood at 10.2. Xander at 10. We know you love Matt Fitzpatrick at 9.9. And then Cam Young, who was a little off last week, did make the cut, but really, played pretty poorly Saturday and really played pretty poorly all week in terms of his standards. Young at 9.7. And I got to add one more guy in there. Burns at 9.5, because this also feels like a good spot for Burns. He's got great course history here. He's got 2 top 10s. He's got another top 20, playing perhaps the best golf of his career, and another guy desperately seeking a win, can't break down the door for the last 3 years. So out of those first 6 or 7, anybody in the core four and anybody you want to talk about, Bones?
Yeah, I feel like $13,500 for Scotty is a little cheaper than we've been getting out of him. So I don't mind the price this week. RBC Heritage is one of our corollary courses as well as the players. Scotty absolutely loves the RBC Heritage, and this course does seem like a perfect fit. This is probably the first week I've really considered playing Scotty in my big lineup this week. There's a lot of cheap guys we like down there around $7,300, which is your average if you put Scotty in. So it's going to be really tough to fade Scotty. I mean, he is due for a win. He is churning out top twos, like you said, had a second at the RBC. However, I like balanced builds, and you can really fit in a bunch of good guys that are playing even better golf this year than Scotty Scheffler. So I can definitely see Scotty Scheffler this week. I haven't decided if I'm going to play him in my big lineup or not. But I'm picking him in those out of those top three guys. I mean, Tommy Fleetwood is a popular play. People love to play him. He just simply doesn't win. Okay. And you need a guy that wins if you're paying up that high for him. So I'm not saying I don't like Fleetwood this week. I think I like him as like a top 5, top 10 bet. But as far as DraftKings purposes, he's not going to fall in my lineup this week.
What about your core four? Anybody in that top 6 in your core four?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite play of the week, and I've been playing him all year, is Matt Fitzpatrick. Again, dominates RBC Heritage, dominates the RBC, the players. I mean, he actually had a first won the RBC this year and had a second of the players. Again, why not save yourself almost $4,000 and go down to Fitzpatrick and start there? Even Fitzpatrick Burns. You're spot on with Burns as well. This is the time of year that these players just having good years are going to show up again. Burns has been knocking on the door, and you kind of see Michael Brennan, right? He was in contention. In hindsight, it was a pretty easy play. He was always in contention and just having bad Sundays. Sam Burns is right there, the type of player that you want to play this week. So I'm going to do Fitzpatrick as my number one core four. And I'm actually going to switch it up, Edge. I actually know I sent you something earlier, but I'm going to do Sam Burns as the number 2 in my core four. I'm starting Fitzpatrick Burns this week, 100%. They are some of the top, they're probably in the top 5 of overall players of the year, excluding Scotty Scheffler and Cam Young. So yeah, love Fitzpatrick and Sam Burns. Those are number 1 and 2 in my core four.
Anything you want to add to that, Wild Man?
I like those guys too. The only thing I'll say about Scheffler is like, even if he wins, somebody still has to finish second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth, right? So, this is the great debate of whether you play Scheffler at this high price in a no-cut event when you're guaranteed to get 6 guys through. I'll say this, looking back at the leaderboard, the cream tends to rise to the top in FedEx events, and the opposite of the cream, I guess, tends to descend into the bottom of these leaderboards. So I would kind of expect to be able to identify the type of player who's going to be in contention and the type of player who's not. Of course, you might get one guy who's down at the bottom and one rando who's up at the top, but generally speaking, birds of a feather are going to flock together here. So,
Colin Morikawa at 9.3. If he's healthy, that's a pretty good price for Morikawa right there. Decky, speaking of value, 9,000. He has not missed a cut this season. And again, he's following. I mean, it's like carbon copy with this guy. Start slow, finish with a bang. Got her up at 8.9. Cantlay at 8.7, who's getting a little bit of buzz this week. Henley at 8.6. Wyndham Clark at 8.5. And our boy, Victor Hovland. If I'm playing a heart lineup, I throw Vic in there. But if I'm playing a head lineup, probably not this week. Bones DK, what do you got on that?
I mean, Hideki Matsuyama almost seems like too easy of a pick this week at $9,000. I do think he's going to garner a ton of ownership, which scares me a little bit because he can be a little squirrely off the tee sometimes, and there's a lot of water. He tends to hit into the water as well, but there's no denying him right now. He won this tournament 2 years ago in 2024, coming off 5 straight top 15s, including 3 top 10s in that run. So he's playing some of the best golf of his life. It's very hard for me not to click Hideki. The only thing I'm worried about is his ownership. And does he show up this week? But I mean, fire up Hideki, no doubt about it. Got to like a guy named like got her up, $8,900, a little expensive for him, but I do like him. Russell Henley is a perfect fit for this kind of course. Also an RBC guy, $8,600. I think that's a pretty good price. I'm going to let Wildman talk about Morikawa and Cantlay because I know he's big on them this week.
Wildman?
Yeah, I mean, I'll segue right into it. I mean, Morikawa, the player I described in the course preview there, elite tee to green and, sort of shaky with the putter, that is Morikawa and that is Cantlay. I mean, the only thing that they lose strokes in is putting. And, when you've got a lot of straight 10 footers, man, and you're looking at 40 opportunities like that over the course of a tournament, I'll tend to bet on guys that are multi-time PGA Tour winners. Don't forget Morikawa went into the Players Championship just a couple of months ago as, a lot of people's prediction for Player of the Year. He withdrew with the back injury, got a lot of people kind of like, up in arms about it, whether or not you can back him or not. Came right back when he returned with a T7 at the Masters. So he's coming in sneaky good form, about as good as form as any of these guys up at the top without a win. And Cantlay, same thing, guys. I mean, you watched it. We called him 2 weeks ago. He just couldn't make a putt. I mean, he played well enough to win that tournament. And Dottie Pepper, one of the announcers, was saying that her diagnosis was that he had the ball too far back in his putting stance. If that's all it takes for some of these guys, then he's probably working on that. And maybe he just says, I got to move the ball up 6 inches in my stance and I start rolling 10 footers in. So, these guys have good course history at all the corollary courses, RBC Heritage. They both won there, Pebble Beach, TPC River Highlands, the Players. I mean, yeah, man, I can get behind both Morikawa and Cantlay easily, especially when you got Hideki coming in at a predicted high number. And for me, guys, I don't know, the Hideki rounds, it just hasn't seemed that clean, even though the results are there. So I'm a little nervous about Hideki.
No, you're right about that. They're not clean, and he's got some wicked body language going on also. He's one hand in the drives, he's hitting. It's like us, dude. Like we go out and we like hit a shot, we're like, that's too far, and it ends up 5 feet from the hole. I mean, he did that several times last week. He thought he hit a terrible shot, and it just wasn't all that bad of a shot. So he is a little different out there right now, attitude-wise. I forgot to mention Oberg also, who has 7 top tens. He's 15 of 17 cuts. He's at 9-1. You talked a little bit about Russell Henley there. He is a accurate driver, the kind of guy you'd like to have out here at this course. As we jump down another tier, Bob McIntyre at 8-3. Jackson Koivun. A lot of hype about this guy right now. Maybe a little pricey at 8-2, but he needs a fantastic finish to get into the top 50 to move on next week. So he's going to be up against it. Justin Thomas at 8-1. I don't think so, even though he played well last week. Justin Rose, who won here last year at 8,000. Tom Kim, 7,900. I love our boy. JJ Spawn is getting a lot of play this week, too, because he's got the game. It sets up well for him this course. Put it down the middle. Let him attack flags like I talked about in the Open. Fairways, greens, birdie looks from inside 20 feet. Little unpredictable with Spawn. Any of those guys making the core 4 bones?
Well, I'm going to actually just go up $100 from what you're talking about there and go back to Victor Hovland, the guy you said you're not sure if you're playing this week. Well, he's in the core 4 this week. Absolutely love his price at $8,400, actually. I think that's a cheap price and a great price for him to get in. Runner up here 2 years ago as well. Also has a win recently at the Travelers. His only blemish was the Open, and that's a tough course and, a weird tournament, right? So I'm not even really looking at that. He had a 13th at first. He had a third at the RBC Canadian Open. Decent finish at the RBC, but I just like Victor Hovland this week in these kind of moments. He shows up in big tournaments like this, and $8,400 with Burns and Fitzpatrick actually gives you some wiggle room still. So Victor Hovland, $8,400 is a third guy in the core 4. If we keep going down to some of the other guys you mentioned, Tom Kim's been playing great. Horrible history here, actually. So he scares me a little bit. But again, it's a new year. History is history, and you have to go on how they're playing this year. So I do like Tom Kim, $7,900. I thought he would be a little pricier, to be honest with you. So definitely Tom Kim is a play this week. And really, that's who I like in this range. I mean, Jackson Koivun, I don't know. Sure. I mean, he might show up like he did at the 3M. 8,200 bucks. It's a pretty cheap price for him there. I think my biggest FOMO play is Wyndham Clark. He's been having a really, really good year and just pops up out of nowhere. Also a no-cut event. He's good for like a 61, 62 sometimes. So even if he starts off slow, he can still shoot extremely low. So I didn't get Clark in my lineup, but if you're listening and you're thinking about him, I'd say he's a great play this week.
What about Griffin? Wild man. If we drop down one tier, he's at 7,700. He played great last week. That seems like a pretty good price for him.
Yeah, I think you were thinking about Ben James when you were talking about Ben Griffin.
You're right.
Griffin missed the cut last week.
Again, I'm brushing up on my Japanese and my last names. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. That's okay. So like yeah, I don't know about Ben Griffin. Man, I've seen him. I've had some money on him, and he's made like quad bogeys on the
Well, let's
17th.
stop talking about him because I thought it
Oh
was
yeah,
Ben James. We'll just move on from that.
yeah. Go right below that to Kurt
Yeah.
Kitayama, right?
Yeah, there you
Kurt
go.
Kitayama.
McNeely, Kitayama, Thorbjornsen, who just won recently, Fowler, Brennan, who won
Yeah,
last week, busted down the door. I kind of like Brennan's price at 7,400, man. I mean, this guy is as hot as anybody. Sans a few Sunday rounds. Anybody in there, wild man?
yeah. I mean, when you talk about Tom Kim and Brennan, right, who had the first and I think a third last week, they were the top two putters in the field. So, like anybody that's putter gets Luke hot or white hot is going to be able to contend in a tournament. Can they duplicate those things? Because their iron play actually was not that good. So I don't know. But I'll talk about Kitayama. Okay, so we always say tee to green, right? Tee to green, fairways, greens. When you put that together, it's called ball striking on the PGA Tour. And that gives you a rating. It puts together your total driving and your greens and regulation percentage, adds those two numbers together to produce a score. Kurt Kitayama comes in sixth on the PGA Tour in ball striking. So that means he is elite with his driver off the tee. He is elite with his iron play. He's got good finishes here. He's got good finishes all season. His recent form is certainly something to be a little nervous about. But man, if you're gonna buy into ball striking, click him at 7,600. He's done it at TPC Southwind before.
Bones DK, who's in the core for in this crew?
Just to reiterate what Wildman says, the ball number Kurt Kitayama is actually number 4 in ball striking, and if you look at the top 6 or 5 guys this week who we like, it's Jordan Smith is number 1 in ball striking, Scotty Scheffler's number 2, Matt Fitzpatrick number 3, Morikawa tied with Kurt Kitayama at 4th. So again, that's aligning with the guys we like this week in ball strikers. So I like that take, Wildman. The final guy in my core four, who I like it around this range at $7,500, who I just love his form and what he's doing right now, is Ricky Fowler. He did have a fifth here last year, not great history since then, but just look at what he's doing. He's really trending forward towards a win. Had a second place this year. The guy can show up at these kind of big tournaments. I think $7,500 is super cheap for that guy. Ricky Fowler is the fourth guy in my core four.
All right. Bones, Wild Man, I can't go over every single guy in this golf tournament. And I'm telling you, there are some bargains down here at the bottom. I'm looking at Bud Cauley right now, who played excellent last week at 6,500. Aaron Rye doesn't get a lot of hype. Number 1 in driving accuracy on tour. That's not bad right there, 6,800. And then the old gum chewer who didn't play very well last week at 69. But I mean, dude, I could read off every single one of these guys' names. Who's got the most value? Like below 7,300?
Yeah, below 7,300. I mean, that's a great question. I think Bridgman is a very good putter and iron player. So I could see Bridgman making a run. Don't forget about Alex Smalley. This is a guy I was looking at, right? I mean, remember he was in the final grouping at the U.S. Open, I believe, had a 2-shot lead, got caught, and ran off a slew of really good finishes, to the point where you're like, man, maybe this guy's the next breakout star. He's coming in some pretty good form. So I'd look at Smalley, and I don't want to go too far down here, but the Rogue Warrior is down here.
Okay, we'll get your Rogue Warrior here in just one second. Bones DK, I want to get your thoughts on this though, because there seems to be, now you got to hit the right guys down here, and these are all studs. But man, there's some cheap prices down here. Harmon also at 6,500, who let many of us down last week. The hardest working man in golf.
Yeah, I mean, I do like value. Jordan Spieth at 6,900. I'm not playing him, but he's actually the only guy in the top 70 that made it without a top 10 this year. So somehow he's grinded his way out, but loves RBC heritage. So his driver scares me a lot. But $6,900, if you said Jordan Spieth was going to be $6,900 2 years ago, you'd be shocked. So he's probably the best player down in this range. But I really like Sung J M. I like what I'm seeing out of him. He's had 8 consecutive rounds under 70. So he's had sub 70 bonus 2 tournaments in a row. Gotta love that in a no-cut event and getting that bonus. And then, like I said, Jordan Smith, #1 in ball striking. He's been playing great this year. He's in great form at $6,600. Those two, Sung J M and Jordan Smith, are by far my favorite plays in the under the 7K range. And yes, I think this is definitely a rebound week for Brian Harman. I hate to say it. I mean, it, it's just how it happens, man. He has a third. You want to play him, you fire him up. He misses the cut, and then you get off of him, and he finishes with the top five. I mean, he's a major champion. He can pop up anytime. This is the perfect fit for him. So yeah, Brian Harman, 6,500. Can't deny him.
I'll tell you what, you get some of these guys in at 6,500 or less. Also, you're definitely setting yourself up to have a lineup with Scotty Scheffler. Wildman, who is your rogue warrior of the week this week?
Listen, I got to say this real quick. For those of you who are on text threads with me and know me personally, you know that I have unbelievable superpowers of being a week early on guys. I mean, guys like Marcel CM, totally random guys. I probably lost $5,000 last week on Gerard and Brian Harman on the number. Both had putts on 18 to make the cut. If you got a little bit of extra scratch, I'm telling you right now, start a lineup with Gerard and Harman to spite me. Rogue Warrior won the Memorial. Okay, we've got 4 corollary courses. They are Sedgefield, River Highlands, RBC Heritage, TPC Sawgrass, another one, I think. Colonial, yeah. And this guy's got either a win or a second at 4 of these 5 courses and a top 5 at all 5. If you followed him on Stat Tracker last week, he lost 5 strokes on the green in round 1. Missed the cut by 1. 6,300. Rates out well for me. JT Poston, 6,300. We nailed Snedeker last week. We had Chris Kirk the week before that. This week, swallow the pill, get back on JT Poston. He's had an entire week to figure out why he was kicking these 2 and 4 footers. He missed 9 putts inside 10 feet on Thursday last week, 12 in the first 2 rounds. So, missed the cut by 1 stroke. JT Poston, 6,300, Rogue Warrior.
JT Poston or 6,300. I know I kind of asking you the same question again here, Bones DK, but before we get Wildman's prop drop, anybody else in that area that you think might have a little bit in this week?
No, I mean, I love the JT Poston call by Wildman. Absolutely love it. I mentioned the guys who I like, and I'm not going to really mention anybody else there. I was just really sweating Wildman's take right there as his internet was just horrible and his face blurry. So that was just distracting me right there. But he got through it. So
yeah, maybe we could get Iceman to donate some money to Wildman and get him an internet connection. That would be great.
There you go. I need a freaking router. I got back from out of town and my router won't get electricity, no power to it.
All right, well, let's hope the internet holds out for your prop drop this week. What do you got?
Okay, we're going back to the regions like we always do. Top Canadian, Corey Connors. There's only 3 in the field: Nick Taylor, Sudarshan Yelamaraju, and Corey Connors. We talk about ball striking. Connors is an elite ball striker, so we'll give it a look there. Top UK and Irish, Rory McIlroy. You can get that number, guys, as high as 3-1, plus 300. United Kingdom and Irish guys. I mean, who's up there? Fleetwood, Fitzpatrick, McIntyre, Justin Rose. Okay, give me 3-1 on McIlroy. Heck, you might take 3-1 in a no-cut field for him to win the event. So, like that too.
The only thing that is worrying me about Rory this week is, again, he's not, if the driver gets a little wonky, he could be in trouble. He doesn't like playing here either. He often skips this event for whatever reason in Memphis. So maybe there's something to that, but we'll take Rory as the top UK and Irishman there. Bones DK, one other guy I wanted to ask you about here. We already talked about JT Poston, though. That's the Rogue Warrior of the week. That was the guy I wanted to ask you about. Okay, so we're moving on. Do you remember Stedman Bailey from WVU, by the way?
Yeah, of course.
He was arrested this week for having relations with a woman inside of a bar at a bowling alley. Okay, he was arrested, of course, and, I don't know if he went to jail or whatever. But in this article, I had forgotten this about Stedman Bailey. He said that he had only played 3 years in the NFL because he was shot in the head. Not because he took a shot in the head, but because he was actually shot in the head. Did you read about Stedman this weekend, Wild Man, or is this the first you're hearing about it?
No, of course I read about it. And I mean, he's a West Virginia hero, right? He was part of that Tavon Austin, Geno Smith air attack with Dana Holgerson. And yeah, I mean, look, he had a promising career. He was a punt returner, really shifty guy, set NCAA and Big 12 records, sitting in his car with three family members, drive-by shooting, cracks him in the head. And I mean, by the grace of God, he survived. But that case is still unsolved. There's no explanation for why he was shot.
It'll never be solved if it's drive-by shooting. I mean, it's probably buried in police files now as a cold case. But Stedman back in the news. I mean, it wasn't
For all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, it wasn't the most flattering story, but the most shocking part was that he was shot in the head. It wasn't even that he was trying to have sex with a woman inside of a bar at a bowling alley. It was that he had been shot in the head, and I had forgotten about that. Bones DK, you've heard about the viral cheating scandal that happened at a local country club, I think somewhere in the Midwest. A guy, they're giving away a hole-in-one prize. The guy jumps ahead of his group, says he made a hole in one or said he thinned it, and then the group goes up and they find it in the hole in one. There's a lot of talk about this, but I just wonder, like, do you think this guy's going to be held criminally responsible for trying to steal $50,000 from a charity?
I guess he could be. I don't think he'll be legally in trouble, but he's going to be banned from every course. And I mean, what a loser, man. I mean, to go, he like parked his car
I
in
mean,
the
you thought
morning.
about it. It was premeditated for sure. It wasn't a spur of the moment thing.
It
So he
kind
had
of
thought
reminds me
about
of
it.
like it kind of reminds me of like those fishermen that got caught putting weights in the fish.
Yeah,
Those
right.
guys actually took in money and like won a lot of money, so they got legally in trouble and I think in jail maybe or owed all that money back. So he didn't collect the money, I don't think. So he might not get in trouble. But unfortunately, people cheat, man, and it's just what a loser. I mean, what
I
a
mean,
loser.
I don't know. I don't think he deserves to be in jail, for it. Had he taken the money and, embezzled it or stolen it, yeah, that does change things a little bit. Like those fishermen, that's a great example. But, guys, imagine getting pink slipped today from your community, your golf club, your friends, your family, your job. I mean, literally having to pack up a U-Haul and get out of town. I mean, that's enough punishment as it is because that guy's reputation. I mean, geez, Louise, what a
To,
loser.
to the gentleman's defense, he did go on a national radio show and talk about the incident and said what a mistake he had made and so on and so forth. But it's just one of those things. It's like it was so premeditated. You thought so hard about it, dude, that like I just can't pass it off as like it was a simple mistake. I really did something stupid and I know I have to own it now. It's like, bro,
Right, like I
you
shaved his
tried to
spine.
steal from all of us. You tried to steal from everybody here.
And Edge, to put the rest of the details in, what he did was he drove up there the morning before.
Right.
He
Yeah.
missed the first tee time. He
Flock
drove up
cameras, guys.
hours.
Flock cameras everywhere.
Yeah, parked at the what do you call that? Like the barn where the carts
Yeah.
are.
The greenskeeper shack.
Yeah, the greenskeeper shack goes down, places the ball in the hole, drives his car back to the parking lot, goes with the first group, says that his grandmother was ill, so he had to run ahead and take a phone call.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and tee off so I don't distract anybody. Oh, I teed off and aced it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what a ridiculous
It's
situation.
one of the worst like golf stories I've ever heard, quite honestly. One of the worst cheating stories I've ever heard. And again, I appreciate the guy for coming on and like owning it, but it's like it kind of said that's why you have to pink slip him. It's like we just can't trust this guy ever again for as long as he lives,
look,
right?
Can I say this too? I mean, look, guys, I was in a game of Chicago, high spade in the hole, 7-card stud when I was a teenager, 17, 18 years old. A very prominent individual played in our game. He went on to be a professional baseball pitcher. I'm not going to name him, but he was caught with an ace up his sleeve, or, so to speak. He dropped it under his chair, was busted. We were seniors in high school. The guy was pink slip. And there was, we played for some big money back then in retrospect. I mean, there's probably $1,000 on the table amongst the 10 players. And, I mean, was that the worst thing ever? Did he take money out of my children's mouths or something? No. but he was caught cheating, and his reputation was forever
Yeah.
fractured. It's still talked about 25 years later.
Just says a lot about the individual, is what it does. Finally, the confetti incident. If you haven't seen this yet, it's the Pop Darts Championship on ESPN Ocho. Some kid nails an incredible shot, and some guy comes out with a confetti gun pointed the wrong way and tries to blast it off into the sky, and he ends up hitting himself right in the junk, it looks like. Now, that was funny enough, but it's on a national broadcast, and they go over to attend to him, and before they like make sure he's okay, they're like, get him out of frame, get him out of frame, get him off of TV. Did you see it, Bones, and what was your reaction to that?
That was hilarious, man. I think I sent it to you guys actually. Man, is that good? I mean, they like bucket, they like pick him up from all arms and legs and just like drag him off.
I
I mean,
was
I think he hit
looking
him in
for
the
like
nuts.
an update on him today too to see how he's doing, and I can't find anything about the guy, but it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Wild man, have you ever I'm sure we all have, guys. Most guys listen to this podcast unintentionally racked yourself, and it's not a good feeling.
No, it's about as bad as it gets. I mean, I remember playing Rundown one time with Brad Wilson at Municipal, and he was like famous for having a cannon. He pump fakes. I dive forward, my leg flips up in the air, and I mean, I get one right in the breadbasket. And man, I still remember it. That was probably sixth grade, so 30 years ago.
Yeah, well, you
I still,
probably didn't
I
have
still
the
feel it.
you probably didn't have the humiliation of a national television audience, and you probably didn't have people not worried about your well-being, but more worried about the camera shot. They probably helped you right away.
Yeah, and by the way, those guys are called the breadbasket. I follow those guys on Instagram. They do like trivia and sports stuff, and one of the guys is an aspiring rapper singer. Actually, the guy that got racked is an aspiring rapper. He's got a new single out. But when Rob sent me that video, I'm like, he ran out, and I go, "That's the breadbasket guy."
I'll make sure I check their Instagram account to
Yeah,
make sure the
yeah.
guy is still okay and that hopefully someday
It's
he can
good,
have
man.
kids. As we get ready to sign off, Bones DK, any final thoughts about the first round of the FedEx Cup?
I'm gonna go with JT Poston first round leader, for sure. I mean, and
Eat.
then parlay it with like probably why not Eric Cole, even though I don't really like him this week. Poston top 10, Eric Cole top 10, parlay. $10 will probably win you $2,000 if it hits. So
Wild
yeah.
man, final thoughts on the FedEx?
No, I like a playoff actually, plus 400, just to throw one more thing in there. But yeah, man, elite ball striking. That's what we're going for. And I mean, let's hope we get lucky. I'm telling you guys right now, though, Gerard and Harmon play these guys in like a $25 lineup and just tip me out if you win stacks.
All right, you mixed up the core four on me though, Bones. So correct me if I'm wrong. It's Burns, it's Fitzy, it's Fowler, and it's Decky. Was that it?
Hovland was the fourth guy there.
Hovland was the fourth guy. So it's going to be Burns, Fitzpatrick, Fowler, and Hovland. We're taking
Yeah.
JT Poston as our flyer of the week, the Rogue Warrior of the week. Corey Connors, top Canadian. Is that what you said, Wildman?
Yep.
Top Canadian. We're going to take Rory as the top Irishman and UK guy. And then we'll also throw in a first round top 10 for Poston and Cole. Does that sound right, boys?
Yep. And JT Poston first round leader, even though it's a risky bet. First round leader. His odds are going to be awesome.
Hey, man, high risk, high reward. Let's go for it this week. The studs are coming out to Memphis. First round of the FedEx Cup for TW Man and Bones DK. My name is Edge. Thank you guys so much for listening, and good luck this week in Tennessee. Let's get some.